So we've got the Africa Cup of Nations Championship starting in January. So as things stand, Salah and Mane are out of the running for 4 Premier League games. As things stand, there's always a bit of trading that goes on, which is completely fine. And, it's agreed between country and club. But as it stands, 4 Premier League games, 3 of them are away, actually. 2 away ones at Chelsea and Leicester. So They will want to do as much negotiating as they can, Liverpool.
Chelsea and Liverpool might lean on to whichever FA it is to try and keep Mendy for Chelsea and Salah and Mane for Liverpool.
This is not to say they miss games, just to misses the camp. This is a bit of the camp.
Yeah, and for us just talking about it, and everything's going to change, like you said, in this conjecture, but at least it gives them, after that Chelsea game, if both parties agreed and the FA's agreed, that they've then got 7 days before, I think it's Senegal and Egypt's first game in the African Cup of Nations. So it gives them that sort of week of rest.
It's just
if they don't get them, Liverpool, that's going to hinder them massively.
It's just disruption, isn't it? For Klopp and
taking the best.
It's just disruption. That's all it is. And how do you deal with that disruption?
But
you've been doing
and whoever you think's their best players, the most important players. Liverpool are losing 2 of their most important players.
Agreed.
Mane and Salah are huge. I mean, they all know it, and sometimes managers go, "Oh, well, when you sign an African player, this is going to happen every other year."
You know that, and you have to deal with it.
You have to deal with it.
You get a squad of players that are going to play 2 or 3 games for you while those guys are away.
I might be wrong, but I'm sure a couple of years ago, didn't the African Cup of Nations move to a summer?
Yeah, they wanted it to, obviously, in keeping with the World Cup and the Euros, and it, with COVID and everything, has slightly thrown a spanner in the works. So you have a month of, let's just say, for argument's sake, you have a month of Firmino, Jota, and Origi. That's good, but it's not the same ring, quite clearly. No. It's not the same terror in the defence of the opposition.
You've got to play Leicester and Chelsea.
No.
But that's the 2 games. That's high standard stuff.
Does this underline maybe what I think even a lot of Liverpool fans think, which is Liverpool are an outstanding team, but do they quite have the depth of City and Chelsea when it comes to winning the league?
So, Origi, who was it?
Jota.
Firmino. Right? So you got those 3 up top.
Yes.
Straight away now, if I'm City and Chelsea, I'm going bam straight up the pitch. You haven't got that pacing behind, so therefore as a defender, I'm thinking, right, get higher up the pitch because they haven't got the lightning pace of Salah and Mane. So therefore, you've changed the way that you have to play now. Liverpool will have to play more passes inside their own half in order to get up the pitch, rather than the pitch being massive. So that's a massive change for Liverpool.
It might be a different style from Liverpool.
Correct.
It might be Thiago then stepping up when he's fit. Don't think they lose. Do they lose Naby Keita? Not sure. They do. So they lose Naby Keita, another one that they might lose. So it could have lent on a different sort of style and more bodies in the middle of the park. But if you're saying about Liverpool's lack of depth,
comparative.
City.
Comparative to City and Chelsea.
But then if I threw it back at you, who's City's best 2 players, and who are 2 players you might say? It could be anyone. You could say Ruben Diaz and Phil Foden if you want. If they lost those 2, that's going to hurt them. If you lost a couple of Chelsea's, if you lost, I'd say Andreas Christensen and Rudiger, for example, that's going to hurt them. So it's going to hurt if you lose big players. I think it's just nothing's going to hurt like Liverpool.
Yeah, they've got enough quality. All those teams and squads, there's enough there.
They're the biggest losers, though, aren't they?
Oh gosh, yes. At the same time as well.
Yeah.
At the same.
And the hard thing is, if you're Liverpool, you can't just go and sign a couple of players for a month.
No one's
trying to replace them because as a player, are you going to sign?
Particularly not that we've got a World Cup starting almost to the day this time next year. Nobody is going to risk their place in a potential World Cup squad by going somewhere and not playing and then suddenly being out of the eye of the manager, are they?
After game after game after game after season after season. And Mane, for his standards, he just dropped off last season.
You made a really good point about the fact that Liverpool can play higher up the pitch now. They've got their centre halves back together. And those numbers, that the lower ones, show it all, don't they? They're that much closer to goal when they get the ball and in the positions they want to be.
If Liverpool now have the back 4 that they are happy with, therefore the midfield players can go into their proper positions, and that front 3, whoever it may be, have got so much more area to play in. The confidence of the back 4 is brilliant now, I think, for Liverpool. That's where it all starts from. It starts from Virgil, 2 full-backs, and whoever plays with Virgil.
Reece James is pushing him very, very closely, but I think Trent's your man. And people will throw, well, he can't defend. He's not in the team to defend.
As a footballer,
he plays like a wing-back.
He's great to watch.
Look at his numbers.
Well, look who the top two are. That says it all about the attacking threat, doesn't it?
It does.
That's what it says about the attacking threat.
By the way, not on that graphic there, but I think above him, there's only Kevin De Bruyne with more assists than Trent in the Premier League over the last, whatever it is, 18 months. So he's competing with the likes of De Bruyne's. He's competing with number 10s.
Apparently he still wants to be a right back, though. You know all this business about he's too good to play right back. Sorry, right backs around the world. He's too good to be a right back. Should play in midfield. Apparently he actually wants to be a right back.
But why? If you're the best right back in the world, why do you want to step into midfield? I mean, unless for the great of the team, you know, let's just say that month we're talking about with the African Cup of Nations, unless there's a void in the middle of the park where you can go, right, can you do me a job in there? Of course you can. Then who can come in at right back?
But before we go to the break, I just want to quickly touch on their depth, the midfield. When we watched the West Ham game, and we came in on the Monday and talked about it, you both went, they missed Wijnaldum in there. Is that an area where midfield, Harvey Elliott, brilliant start of the season, got injured, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, good reserve, but he's not quite hitting the heights when needed every week. Is that the area where maybe they might just come up short?
If there was a weakness, it would be the reserve players for those positions. Their starting 11, their midfield players that start are more than good enough. I just think when one drops out, whether it's Fabinho or Henderson, they are a little bit light in there. I'm not sure.
See, on paper, when you write it down and you go Fabinho, Jordan Henderson and Thiago, you go, what a midfield that is. If it's not Thiago, it's Naby Keita, and you go, what a midfield player that is. Midfield three, that is. So
that's it then, isn't it?
Those two that I've mentioned there, Naby Keita and Thiago, those are the players now Klopp needs to work extra hard on.
They need, in the way that the rest of midfield always is, they need consistent 8 out of 10s.
Jordan Henderson's an 8.5 out of 10 every single week.
He's a
Fabinho's one of the best in the world in his position. 5 or 6 players across Europe that are as good as him.
But Thiago and Keita have not been 8 out of 10 every time. That's the truth, have they?
No.
And that's why we then go, oh, they missed Wijnaldum. Why did they let him go?
I will always
because he was consistent.
And
he never missed a day's training.
No.
And I think I will always protect a player if he's not getting games. Wijnaldum got game after game after game. So therefore, we've seen the best of him. We're not seeing Keita game after game, and we definitely haven't seen Thiago. So I think it's games in order to get up to standard.